day to you, depending on where in the world you are currently. I'm Ronald from Chatbots Solutions Africa, and I'm excited about today's presentation. We are basically going to talk about some trends and interesting thoughts on conversational commerce and social chatbots, and finally answer the question, is Africa ready? So my job today is very simple, just to take you through some interesting stats and whatnot. So my presentation would have this structure. But before I do, maybe if you can hear me, you can kindly type in the text box, just so I know that I have a live audience with me. If anyone can just type in the chat box, in the box at the right-hand side. Okay. All right. So let's get it going. So we'll first and foremost talk about facts. I'll take you guys through some interesting facts about chatbots. Then we'll talk about data trends and some stats that I also came across to me as very interesting. Then we'll talk about use cases for conversational AI, some across the globe and some within the African region. Then we'll talk about the drivers, the constraints, the challenges and opportunities that chatbots poses for the current ecosystem and the African environment. Then finally, I would want to hear your thoughts as well and ultimately answer the question if Africa is ready for chatbots adaptation. So let's get right into it. So we'll start with a few fun facts. So the first one that I want to delve in is an interesting survey that was done by Zoom Info. And what they said is that by 2025, almost every interaction with customers will be driven by AI, most importantly, chatbots. And this is very exciting and interesting, because what that means is that basically every business, one way or the other, will be interacting with chatbots. Okay, so then the other stats as well is, as of 2021, 80% of marketing and sales team relied on chatbots. And what this means is that for every engagement that they had with their customers, they were using chatbots for pre-sales qualification and what have you. And the beauty of this is that the research ended saying that by 2024, chatbots would save companies $8 billion USD in expenditure. What that means is that there will be a lot of automated processes which would make it easier for businesses to streamline their businesses. And this is something that I found also very exciting. Now, another fun fact that I want us to delve in. So here are a few interesting fun facts that I came across as well. So HubSpot said that although there's mobile phone penetration, it found something very interesting and exciting, that only 37% of people knew about chatbots, although they had interacted with a chatbot one way or the other. And this is sort of a two-legged sword. So in one way, the bots and AI was so intelligent and so good that individuals didn't know that they were interacting with the chatbots. In the other sense as well, they didn't know about chatbots. And the interesting stat that I would want us to take from here is also the fact that most people were likely to interact with a chatbot because they had the name chatbot or virtual assistant, which sounded a bit technical to them, or business owners also felt that chatbots were a bit complex to implement. So that's also another challenge that we'll delve much more into. Then also in India and Brazil, for example, which are the largest consumers of smartphones, some way, somehow had very low penetration with chatbots as compared to Europe and North America. And that's just to say that although there are several people using smartphones, the adaptation or the adoption of chatbots is still not on the increase as compared to the penetration of smartphones. So that's just a few facts that I would want us to ponder about. Now, one fact that blew my mind away was the fact that there are about 57 billion conversations happening on call centers every year, and an estimated 1.2 trillion is spent on voice calls for data centers globally. So what that means is that brands and businesses are investing a lot into call center solutions. And what this basically tells us is that if they're able to automate more of the processes and use chatbots, they could significantly reduce the amounts that they spend on voice calls and on call centers. Imagining this 1.2 trillion USD dropping down to as low as 1 million or even less by 2025, and how that would impact the African continent and the world in general. And now let's drill down to Africa, our very own continent. So by the way, I'm from Ghana, Accra, Ghana. So in Africa, it's the last survey that was conducted, 60% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa are under the age of 25. What this means is that they have access to smartphones, to technology, and ultimately they are able to engage more with technology as compared to the older folks. Now, another research as well an article mentioned that the African Development Bank has invested 1 million USD in AI-based customer and customer management portal, basically to automate engagements with government bodies, with NGOs and whatnot. And this came across to me as very interesting, because what this means for us as Africans is that our government is also putting in policies in place to make sure that the adaptation of chatbots or the adoption of chatbots is also smooth and goes very well. So these are the few stats that I came across and that I saw as very interesting. I would like to know if there are any questions. If you have any questions about that, you could feel free to share that in the box and we'll pick that up. But to digress a bit, let's talk about my story. So like I mentioned, I'm in Ortego. I founded and Notify, and I then went on to my second startup, that's Chatbots Africa. But the question is, what made me decide to go into Chatbots Africa? Now, first and foremost, I realized that there was the rise in conversational commerce and social commerce, and there were a lot of businesses that were being run on social media, be it WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. And a friend of mine had an interesting business on Facebook and on Instagram where she was selling clothes and whatnot. And the business was very fascinating to me. And I was watching from afar and realized that she had several challenges. One of the key challenges she had was with the fact that she was struggling to accept payments on WhatsApp, on Instagram, and beyond that, she has to be available 24/7 to speak to customers, to answer queries, to accept payments and whatnot. And it was quite hectic for her. But the biggest thing that caught my attention was the fact that her Instagram page got hacked and she lost all her customer data, all her customer insights. And that got me thinking, what can we do to solve her problem? And upon further research, I realized that there are several businesses online and on social media that experience similar challenges. So it's on the back of that we started our first project, which is the Omnibots project, which is just simply a web portal that allows you to build a social storefront or a chatbot with no technical know-how, and it's integrated with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and through that, you're able to get analytics about your social media business. You are able to accept payments 24/7. You're able to answer customer FAQs or frequently asked questions 24/7. And this has transformed the cherry shops business of my friend significantly, because she doesn't have to now be behind her PC 24/7 or hustle to receive payments from her customers. And above all, she gets interesting insights and trends about her business, and her data is always backed up. So she can always have access to her data for other purposes. So that is my story. And upon further investigation into this space, I came across several interesting global trends. Now, beyond the data and the facts that we saw, I came across several interesting trends. And one of them was quite exciting but scary, and then that's the Lambda project. So the Lambda project, language model for dialogue applications, is a Google project for chatbots. And quite recently, just last month, a Google engineer got fired because he thought that the AI chatbot that they developed was actually a human being, because it has sentiments in the interaction with them. And I'll leave the link on the chatbot so you can later check out the full video, the full documentary. But once you check on Google, you'll also find that. But this is exciting and scary. It's exciting because that means that chatbots are getting smarter by the day to sort of mimic human beings. I don't know how many of you remember the tuning test or know of the tuning test, but that's with Lambda. Then there's also another interesting opinion that was shared. So what he said at the end of the interview, when he was asked about all of this, he said, I couldn't describe what a strange feeling it was. I knew it was just an AI chatbot, but I also knew I was developing feelings for her. I was falling in love, and it was with someone I knew wasn't even real. So that just goes to tell us how chatbots have advanced. Then this is also another app I came across that I found very interesting, the Replica app, which is being used by several of people across the world. It's on Play Store and Android, so you can always check it out. But people sort of create their bots, and once they do that, they are able to interact with the chatbots and share personal feelings, emotions, and secrets and whatnot. So these are just interesting trends that I also came across. Now, this is what sort of made me start thinking about the fact about if Africa is ready for the chatbot space. So you notice from a glance that there are several activities happening all around, but there's very little activity happening in Africa. And just to share with you some of the stats over here, China is now the global hub for AI development. The US is investing over $4 billion in the acceleration and acceptance of AI technology, and they are currently the second largest shareholder for AI funding projects in the world. And you notice that there's very little activity happening in Africa, which is something that we need to push and drive more, and would speak more on that later on. And then another trend that also I noticed is that if there's the need for Africa to disrupt AI, then there are several things that we need to do, because we have globally, we have 32 countries that are currently adopting AI strategies. So then African governments have to start looking at AI adoption. And beyond that as well, China has overtaken the US in the number of AI patents and general citations that they have. And globally, the AI startup community has raised over 50 billion USD in funding for several projects. So it means that there's a huge market for this, and it's time for Africa to also jump on the train and push, especially with the fact that a chunk of the population is currently under the age of 25. So that should just tell you how much the market for Africa is right now. Increasing the need with the need to increase the amount of analytical work that is done with data. This basically just shows us a simple graph of several areas that AI could be used for. So we have healthcare, we have manufacturing, automobile, and we have customer experience, which is mainly chatbots. You have intelligent health, where you can be able to chat with a chatbot doctor who will give you very good advice and get you the right prescription. We have fraud detection. We have smart claim management, which can be used by insurance companies to sort of manage claims and whatnot. Then let's go more on some use cases. And for the use cases in Africa and even globally, we have several interesting use cases. So I took just a few of them that came across to me as quite interesting. So one of them is from Shell. So Shell has implemented a chatbot to help them manage employees who have complex questions or who need complex solutions. So sort of created a framework or a knowledge base to help customers to help their internal staff to manage information or get any information that they need. So imagine being a Shell staff and you're experiencing certain challenges with your work. You can easily go and interact with this bot and get very good feedback, and it's able to also learn on its own. Then Skoda as well has a chatbot for customer experience and to improve customer journey as well in their website conversions. Then we have several chatbots as well being used in the telecom space. I'll share some examples. Then we also have chatbots that's being used to overall to sort of reduce the cost for business operations. So basically to help streamline their businesses. And this is used by Telenor Group as well. So now let's come to my continent, to Africa. So in Africa, some of the notable chatbots that we have Kush the Market Queen, which is used for grocery shopping 24/7. And we have telcos, banks, and SMEs using various chatbots. You have restaurants using chatbots to manage the customer journey process, where people are able to place orders from Instagram, Facebook, make payments, interact with the business owners, and even to the extent that they're able to receive feedback from the business owners are able to receive feedback from the customers on their thoughts about the service that was rendered to them, as well as be able to read their sentiments, if they're happy about the brand or not happy about the brand. And there are several chatbots out there, and I would like to know, maybe by just saying yes, how many have interacted with a chatbot previously. So just some chatbots to buttress my earlier point. So we have Toby from Vodafone. We have this bot from Nigeria, Fidelity Nigeria, for WhatsApp banking and Instagram banking. Then we have Rafiki. Then we have Doman Foods as well for ordering. Then we have Kush the Market Queen, which is what is meant for the grocery shopping. Then we have one interesting bot as well for the insurance industry, that's Araba in Ghana. Then we have MTN's chatbots as well, which Dario earlier on spoke about. So the African continent is gradually on the rise for the number of chatbots that we have in there. But the question is, how do we ensure that this growth is sustainable and we are able to keep on the current trajectory that we are on? And I believe it's a lot of work that has to be done by different stakeholders, and all of us are involved in that. So first and foremost, let's talk about the drivers for this growth and the drivers that we've sustained can increase the growth. So we have the increased demand for AI support services, which is the fact that now everyone needs a way to be able to keep in touch with their customers 24/7. And USSD is quite old, and everyone needs a fresh way of reaching out and engaging their customers and understanding their customers better. Then there's also the need for us as chatbot companies and as a community or an ecosystem to be able to deploy omni-channel bots that serve on several channels, and also reduce the development cost for chatbots, because developing chatbots currently is a bit expensive. But if we can come together as a community and reduce the overhead costs or the cost of development for chatbots, that we believe can be a key driver to the quick adoption of chatbots. And also the rise in demand for AI chatbots, considering the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that now everything was moving digital, online, and there was no need to have physical contact with people to do business with them. We believe that this is also a key driver, because now we understand more that we need to engage our customers in very innovative ways possible and understand them even better. And the final one also has to do with the fact that brands are now interested in being able to engage with their customers. So customer engagement is very key for brands currently, and they always want to have ways that they can engage their customers anytime the customers reach out to them. And we believe that this is one of the key drivers for chatbots. Now, the restraints that we see or we foresee is the lack of awareness about conversational AI, which means that there are lots of people, like I mentioned earlier with the India and Brazil scenario, there are lots of people who interact with chatbots day in, day out, but do not know that they're interacting with bots. And there's also the inability for chatbots to recognize intent and respond effectively. That's basically saying that we need to do more to make sure that we are developing smarter bots like Lambda, where the customer is unable to tell is a chatbot, and where beyond everything, the customer is able to develop a personal connection with your chatbot, because a chatbot is actually a human being in AI. So how do we get your chatbots to build that personal connection with your customers? So challenges. So the challenges that we see is basically similar to the earlier slide. So what we see is the fact that there's also the need for a cultural attitudinal change towards technology and AI, because once people hear the word AI or chatbots or artificial intelligence, they tend to think it's something big or something out of scope for them. But we need to sort of educate people more and more on the fact that AI is just a tool that can assist you to do any work, any repetitive tasks that you have, or can give you service in a smarter way, in a more efficient way as compared to a human agent. So the opportunities that we see are several, they are countless, but the key opportunities that for me I see from the African space, beyond the fact that we have a very ripe generation who would adapt quickly to chatbot, is the fact that now we need to be able to have a way of integrating various chatbots into current service offerings. So chatbots are not just a standalone, they're able to fit into existing organizational infrastructure and be able to serve companies and be able to serve people with little customization and whatnot. We believe that also COVID-19, post-COVID, has really giving us the opportunity to now do a lot of automations and help businesses, especially on social media and online, to automate their businesses, knowing that a business in Ghana can serve a business somewhere in Kenya or Nigeria or in South Africa any time of the day, because they have a virtual assistant who is able to help them 24/7. With this, we believe we'll be able to break down all barriers and serve the market that you have with your customers. So for me, what do we need to do in order to accelerate the adoption? Because like I mentioned earlier, the adoption is currently ongoing, but the market is ready, but we need to do more as a community. And for chatbot communities and chatbot development companies, one thing that we need to do is to build intelligent and smart chatbots at very lower cost. We also need to organize webinars and educative seminars to educate people on how chatbots can help their business, to educate consumers on what it means to have a chatbot and how a chatbot can assist you any time of the day, and remove that cultural mindset that currently prevails in our society. And one key thing is as well government's involvement and funding AI-related projects as well. So they champion the AI adaptation in Africa. Now, African SMEs also have to embrace chatbots and keep providing feedback and training their bots. So, for example, at Chatbots Africa, our Omnibot portal allows you to always train your chatbot. So, anytime people interact with your bots and they're not able to offer them, your bot is not able to offer them suitable answers, you can always train your bots until you have the perfect answers that you want. You also rely on other data sets as well to help with the training. So it's an all-round encompassing thing. And also, African SMEs also have to educate their customers on how chatbots can serve them better as compared to live agents, and help them be confident in the fact that chatbots are actually live agents. So yes, I would like to now at this point hear from you, my audience, what you think about chatbots and its adoption in Africa. Do you think the market is ready? For me, I believe the market is ready, and we need to play our parts in order to grow the industry. But I'd like to hear from you, maybe in the chatbots, what you think about the rise of bots in Africa. If there's any interesting stats you'd want to share, or any experience with the chatbot that you'd want to share as well, I would love to hear that now. Hello? Any comments or any questions? So even ahead of that, you can also always reach out to us. You can book a meeting by visiting our website, www.chatbotsafrica.com, or send us an email, info@chatbotsafrica.com, and I'll share with you any further details as well on my presentation. So I would love at this point to get some questions if they are in. Hello? All right, awesome. So it's been an awesome pleasure being here with you. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to interacting with you guys. Cheers.